Yep, now
There
it's
you
saying
go.
setting up your
Streaming
meeting
live on
request.
Facebook.
You
I
are
can,
live. Good to go.
I can see it. It says we're live on Facebook. I know when a bright, bright red dot pops up. Now streaming live.
Hi, Refresh. What an exciting time. I am here with Siha Collins, and Siha is going to be one of our practitioners who will be with us as our retreat, our fifth retreat, is happening at the end of September 25th through 27th. And so today she is here with me. I feel like she is like my old, dear, dear friend. I've always felt that about her. I've always had a real, like when she walks in the room, I always feel like be on your best behavior. She's here. And she always says the nicest things. So today we are going to have a conversation about Sia's being with us at the Refresh Experience retreat at the end of the month. So welcome, Sia. I'm so glad you're here on
Oh, that's such a
Facebook.
compliment. I'm always trying to get adopted. So we can be sisters, friends. I need an auntie and a mama all the time. And so
You
thank you
got one.
so
You
much.
got
I'm
one.
so grateful. I love our experience together and so grateful to be a part of it, not just any virtual retreat, but it's huge to be able to build a community and reconnect for 5 years now. And so just thank you for allowing me to be a part of this celebration. And it does feel really needed at this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Um, so let's talk a little bit about you because the things that I love most about you is how you describe yourself. I love the word storyteller. I love the creative piece. And so, what I think is so fascinating and so exciting is that someone said to me, when you speak to someone or you do something, you bring all of your life's experiences to that moment. And so let's talk about Sia and the life experiences that you bring to yoga.
That's so wonderful. I tell people all the time, I am a lot of things, but mostly happy. And I feel really happy to share that. And storyteller or creative storyteller, I get most of my anxiety from trying to figure out what to put on my business card, by the way. But it's really come down to I want to create spaces and share stories and practices that help people feel better about themselves. And that comes really deeply from my own story. And it's a lot of places. I was a really young mom, had my daughter when I was 17 years old.
Oh my goodness.
And at the same time was an elite athlete training in multiple sports. So my main sport is volleyball. And it's my love. It's so exciting, so fast paced. It's right on par with my personality. And at some time my senior year of college, a coach popped in a VHS tape with some yoga on it. And at the time I was like, too slow, not for me. And I sort of put it down. And then when I graduated with a degree in marketing, sports management, I was really prepped to go into a very fast paced, like advertising world. I was in that office setting for a little bit and feeling like a little bit disconnected. So I remember going back to the gym and trying to figure out this new way into wellness. And so I was like, let me take yoga because I know that's easy. And my first class, I got my butt kicked. And I also said, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try this again. And so that is definitely my first like experience with yoga. But I say that whatever you're doing on the mat is also what's happening off the mat. Very
Wow.
interesting. And so for me, I want everything to be a challenge and a competition and more, and let me get better. And that's how I treated my yoga practice for a really long time. I loved the physicality of it. I loved how it was making me feel. Um, but also working in my very fast paced and sometimes stressful corporate environment, I began to feel the effects of that, of corporate life, of not having balanced food and sleep, of really always having a work balance and not much of the life balance part. And so by time I was 31 years old, I was pretty much burned out in advertising, having worked in the industry for close to 10 years already. And so yoga had been in the background the whole time. It was sort of the thing, and I think all of us know this. We have our wellness practice and we feel a little good, and then life gets in the way, so we put down the thing that's making us feel better. And so I would always go back and start and stop and start and stop. And then for a New Year's resolution, I brought myself a Groupon at the local studio. I cleared out my fridge. I did the same thing every again. I'll try again. But definitely the difference at this time was that wellness is a practice, and the component of practice is consistency. It's just getting back up and doing it again. So I started going to one class a week and blocking off that hour, and then one turned into 2 classes, and then it started to turn into 3 and maybe sometimes 4. And what I had the chance to experience and feel is, oh, when I'm practicing and doing these things, I really feel the benefit of it in my body, in my sleep, in my relationships. And when I'm not doing it, I'm really aware of the absence of it. So it just made me really aware of what can I be doing in my life to be feeling better? Because when I feel better, I'm able to then take care of my family and my community, which I care so much about. So fast forward to, I did the most cliche thing in the world. I'm going to quit my job for 6 months. I'm going to be a yoga teacher. It's going to get rid of all of my stress. And I report to you from the other side that absolutely doesn't happen. I'm still going to be your crazy type A yoga teacher. However, what I have been able to discover in this time is that what a difference it makes when we really turn our attention towards wellness and well-being. Happiness is a practice. Good sleep is a practice. Caring for your loved ones, all a practice. And so that's what I do now. I am the owner of Yellow Mat Wellness, a beautiful, at some point, a studio, and right now reimagining itself online as an online wellness brand. And that's really what we believe in, that practice makes possible. If you want to practice doing anything, you can do it, but it just requires your real commitment and sort of your own personal inspiration to make it happen. So that's what I tell stories about, is my own personal story. If I can go from the place that I was to feeling better, I hope it will encourage people to tell their own story.
That's awesome. And so I want to share that you've been with ReFRESH a couple of times, I think, in doing small yoga classes in advance of us then doing either a ReFRESH Reads or whatever it might be. And just that taking that time with you, I feel opens a space and creates a place in our hearts that we feel like things are a little calmer and things are more relaxed. And the way you approach the group and the feeling, the energy that's in the room. And what I'm most excited about, and this is the message I want to get to ReFRESH and anyone else who's looking, is that that very same energy is exactly what we are preparing for and are certain to deliver online, virtually, through our practice, our yoga practice with Sia. And the good news is we're going to be able to do that in 2 ways. The first one is we'll have a social distancing for a small group, no more than 15, at a park where it'll be beautiful. The birds will be singing, we'll be in nature, and we'll be able to have the beauty of Sia's practice with us in that space. And then we're going to record it and we're going to be able to offer it on demand. The important thing I feel, Sia, is in a yoga practice and in the practice that you hope to share with ReFRESH, what's one thing that you hope that you'll be able to impart as a part of the practice of yoga with us? Some beginners, some never done it, some really very experienced. What do you want us to take from this experience with you?
Wow, that's such a great question. It's one thing, but it's 2 parts. And it's the first that I hope in general, we begin to separate fitness from wellness. I'm not a fitness instructor. I am a teacher of wellness. And I hope that just even hearing that difference helps for the people who feel like, who have experienced fitness and said, this definitely ain't for me, or I'm not good at it. That you realize that wellness is already something that you have inside of you. And that's the second part. We already have wellness inside of us. I teach that if you're breathing, you can practice yoga. And what a wonderful thing now at this time more than ever to just be really grateful for our breath and for our well-being that's here. I just was talking about this earlier. 2020 has been a year that I feel has like had this pallor of sickness and trying to stay healthy. But it makes it even more important for me to help affirm our wellness and well-being, that if you've made it even to this far, just what it feels like for you and I to be connecting here. I really miss in-person classes, but energy is still energy. And when we decide to get back to our center of wellness, imagine where that can take us to. It's such a wonderful thing when you wake up in the morning just alive. And then imagine that you have the steps to take to say, could I help myself feel a little better? It might not be taking a yoga class. It might be going to pet your dog. It might be going to like connect with a loved one. It might be going for a walk in nature. And that is absolutely wellness. And I hope that people hear that from me. But until we practice the most basic thing of stopping, I can see you right now, Miss Helen, but I don't know if you're breathing. But deep breathing, that is like the first place that we get started on our path to wellness. So I hope people feel that, whether they take the class live or whether they have the chance to engage online after.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And then um, I want to talk about just yoga and the benefits. What have you seen and what do you find with your students to be like the top three benefits of a yoga practice or yoga class or engaging in yoga?
So I feel that yoga as a term and even as a practice has become really ubiquitous, right? Like my mom calls me every time there's a laundry commercial with yoga now. And so it's a little bit different than 15 years ago when it was still around, but it maybe wasn't quite as mainstream yet.
Right.
So I feel like when I think of yoga and when all of my students come, the first thing they say is, I'm trying to get more flexible or I'm not flexible, so I can't do it. And the first thing that I want to tell you is that flexibility is a byproduct of yoga. It's a byproduct. You're seeing one of
Ah,
the benefits that happens when we relieve stress and tension in our body, when we turn our attention to our physical body, and when we reconnect our mental, emotional, and energetic parts of ourselves back to our physical part. So those are three benefits that maybe they sort of swirl around each other a little bit, but it gives us a lot of different entry points that I always ask people all the time. And it's maybe a weird question. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, well, what does that mean? And I'm saying, no, not stand on your head, but like, do you want to sleep better? Do you want to be more focused when you're doing your emails and Facebook notifications are popping up? Do you want to be able to really connect with your kids in a moment where they're upset and you're trying to calm them down? These are things that are benefits of a yoga practice because it starts with a really basic thing. If we can learn to pay attention to our breath, we can learn to pay attention to anything. Most people don't spend any time paying attention to their breath, so we give them an easier thing to pay attention. Hey, pay attention to that left hip that's maybe bothering you, right?
that's
Easier to pay attention. So
easier.
it's easier. So we'll start there. But overall, in a day and age of really like social media things buzzing and beeping all the time, the only time we really pay attention to ourselves is when we're in pain and when we're tired and when we're overwhelmed. And it does not have to be that way. So those benefits of connection and integration and awareness are really, really three key tools that just to start a yoga practice even once a week, you would notice in 4 to 6 weeks of practice, some meaningful changes than if you weren't practicing.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. And what I love is the fact that we kicked off 2020, we being Refresh, with our theme of reconnect and how just How beautiful is that?
It's like another universe that we all sat in the same room. That was February 8th.
Exactly.
That's on my calendar. February 8th.
So
We were all in the same room.
exactly. And
Just
so
breathing on each other. Just out here breathing on each
that's right. We could actually be in each other's space and be okay. And to be some 9 months later into this year and figure out, and I would say all spirit driven, how to connect the dots with our community in order to reconnect with one another through so many modalities and practices that we're going to be doing in this time that we're calling a retreat. Yoga, Pilates, which we've never done either one at a retreat before, neither. Um, the first time we're having a male speaker. We've never had a male speaker. He's going to be talking to us about storytelling and how that creates the true you. And then just the other modalities that we're going to put together in order to reconnect ourselves to our wellness, to our body, and to our souls, and to just the essence of who we are and the purpose for us being here makes me so excited to be able to have this opportunity to really share and tell people about the practitioners who are going to make this whole thing happen and what their lives have been like and how they're going to bring that spirit and that energy to refresh. So I'm going to ask you just a couple more questions. These are just fun questions, just off the top of my head.
I love it.
Um, what's the last book you read, Sia?
Ooh, the last book that I read that I was not for study, but just for fun. I'm an avid reader, so I'm reading all the time. So I'll actually show you my favorite because I have it right here.
Oh, awesome.
About this. When I'm feeling like I need a little refresh
have
in
that
my
book.
life, ask and it is given.
I have that.
This sits on my bookshelf. I'll pull it out when I need an uplift. And like I said, I do a lot of study. I'm currently writing my next online course in social justice that launches in October. Part of my wellness is my form of resistance and social justice. When we feel better, we can do better. And it's so important right now for us to be centering community care. And especially for the ones that are marginalized, for the ones that do not have the privilege of access to care. I'm really aware of my own privilege and I want to stand and help support other people. But I always say, how can you fill up anybody else's cup if your cup is not full?
That's right.
When I need to get refreshed and reconnected, I have to remind myself that the same abundance that grows this grass and raises the sun up and makes it possible for you and I to be sitting wherever we are and connecting to each other. I don't want to lose that magic of that. I want to remember that my problems that sometimes feel so big, they feel big to me. I feel it in my stomach. I feel it in my heart. I feel it in my mind sometimes. It's really great to just get realigned. My favorite thing in here is that if you can control your emotions, you can control your experience. So
Wow.
when I really talk about feeling better, it matters to me that much of asking myself every day, Sia, how do you feel? And how do you want to feel?
How do you want to?
And it makes me feel powerful. And from a woman who is a survivor of trauma, I'm a trauma-informed yoga teacher. I sit with people and hear their stories of incredible just overcoming and survival. It has, when you think of trauma, I think people feel really dark and sometimes maybe they want to brush things under a rug.
Right.
And to be a teacher and just a person that teaches us how to carry some heavy things lightly and teaches us resilience from trauma, not just our stories. And so this is it for me. This is it. You guys want to read another chapter right now.
I'm going to pull mine out tonight so that I can
Wonderful.
take a look at it. I love that book. And now one more. So music, I know when you do a yoga practice, you have certain music that you like to play. What's your favorite?
Ooh, listen, if you sit in a class with Sia, you're going to get a mix of some really wonderful world and global music, but when I need to turn up the vibes in the room, I'm gonna play Miss Nina Simone, and either we're gonna get a little Cinnamon, we're gonna get a little Nina on there, we're gonna get something that just lets the energy come through the room. I think it's so wonderful for us to begin to integrate wellness into our lives. So I say that I've had beautiful practices that are very meditative and feel on some order of being in a spiritual practice. And I've had the best yoga classes where we're dancing and laughing and shaking ourselves around and really just appreciating and celebrating movement in our bodies with our favorite music. And so I hope that we just begin to change a little bit of how we think about engaging in practices, that the point of well-being is to be feeling better.
Right, exactly.
Anything that we can be doing to feel better. Even a good tune by Miss Simone is going to make me feel, it's going to charge my energy right up.
So that's going to do it for you.
Yeah, it's going to do it for me.
And I know that you're going to be able to do that for the ReFRESH community. And I also hope, Sia, and this was not on my list, so this is a ask that was not on the list of asks, but I hope that as the weekend progresses, that you will absolutely be a part of the conversation and that your voice will ring true throughout the weekend. And whenever you can stop in beyond Friday, that you will absolutely be a voice to the ReFRESH community, one of such loving and passionate energy, and the way that you bring that energy forward in all of the conversations that we have had, and then especially this live conversation today. I just want to be sure that the ReFRESH community gets the benefit of that wisdom, of that charm, of that energy, and that special space that you hold for all of us to be better, to be happy, to be well. And so I want to say thank you so much. I'm hoping that if your time allows, that you will also be there beyond the yoga conversation, because you have a lot to share. And I so appreciate you taking the time today to be with me on this live with the ReFRESH experience.
Admiration for you. Thank you for being a mentor to me. I'm a student who happens to teach, so it will be such a pleasure to be a part of the ReFRESH experience weekend. I got to be in our speakers call and I'm blown away. Woo, I was sweating a little bit being in the room with such incredible energy. And so I'm excited to learn. It's incredible. So I look forward. Thank you for this incredible lineup that you put together.
Thank you.
Community. And I'm looking forward to September 25th.
Thank you so much. I can't wait. So for those of you who joined us today on live for this incredible experience that is really, really, really from our heart to yours, we're excited. I am so grateful for Sia and the work that she does in helping others, and especially those who are going through trauma. And right now we all feel like we're in some sort of trauma situation. And we were, before we got started, talking about children and the fact of what's the long-term effect and just the things that we need to be mindful of. And if we start our practice now, when we're going through these times that are really difficult and challenging and seem overwhelming, we have some tools to call on. So consider yourself a part of the ReFRESH experience. Consider yourself a part of Sia's world, and join us as we do this thing called the 5th annual ReFRESH retreat. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it and hope to see you soon. Thanks, Sia.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.